Let's talk doors. I don't know why this is, but it seems like doors are an afterthought in most houses. You see a lot of these kind of hollow, flimsy filling doors with like 10 stamped panels on them. And that's unfortunate because doors set the tone for your whole house. It's the first thing somebody is going to touch and feel going into your house. So finding the right doors for our house was harder than I expected, really. For the exterior front door, I searched forever before I landed on one that I really like. And for the interior doors, I ended up making most of them, and I'll show you those in a few minutes. But first, here are the 4 things I looked for in the doors. One is that they were substantive. I wanted a door with some heft, one that feels like it's just kind of part of the wall, but that can move away when you need to get through it. 2, they had to smoothly function. So even a heavy door should open easily. Old houses shift and sometimes doors stick, and that can usually be fixed by adjusting the hinges or trimming a bit off. But generally, I wanted stable doors that glide and pivot or slide easily. And then simplicity. This one's personal. I don't like doors with a bunch of kind of fake looking panels stamped onto them. You usually see this in the hollow doors. Historically, doors were made with stiles on the sides and then rails in between so that they were dimensionally stable and wouldn't warp. But now you just see them in hollow core doors or aluminum doors just for looks, and that doesn't really make sense to me. And unfortunately, I don't have kind of a DIY cheat for exterior doors. Unless you're a master carpenter, you're going to want to buy them. They're just too hard to do well. I wouldn't buy from a big box store though. I would look for a company close to you that specializes in doors. Usually there's 1 or 2 in every town. And you can tell them the exact size of the size of the door jamb, everything so that it fits perfectly in your door framing. And they'll usually do the installation too if you want help with that. So exterior doors. So this is what we used. This is a steel and glass door from Pinky's Iron Door. It's a Dutch door, meaning the top can open separately, kind of get some breeze through the house while not letting the dog out. And I'm not paid by Pinky's at all. I have no affiliation with them. I just really like this door. It comes pre-hung, so already on its hinges and attached to the metal jamb. And you just put this door in, shim it where it needs to be, and it has some kind of these beefy welded clips that you screw into the framing. And they have some nice, really muted kind of colors. This is the pewter. I believe all their finishes are kind of an automotive paint. And I've had 0 problems with this door. It's great. They aren't cheap, but honestly, they were comparable to most of the wood and glass or all wood exterior doors I found when I was searching. So that's our exterior door. Let's move to the interior doors, and I have kind of 3 different categories to show you. The first one is our pocket doors. So I love a pocket door. You don't have to worry about having room for the door swing. And so especially in a small house like this one, that's really beneficial. And they just can be made to feel more like the walls around it. So the design feels a little more seamless. The issue for pocket doors is that you need a cavity in the wall for the door to slide into. So this can be a problem if you're just replacing a door and it's a 2x4 framed wall and you don't have that space. And if this is your issue, I'll show you another idea that might work for you in a minute. But in this space here, we framed the wall to have a cavity and made sure the water and electric lines weren't going to be in this space. So this door, I just bought a solid flush slab door. And then the hardware I just found on Amazon. Now you can find some very expensive pocket door hardware that are is in the thousands of dollars, and I'm sure that those slide like butter. But I used this brand and it was relatively easy to install and has worked great. There is a little bit of noise when it slides, but it's totally fine. Now let's look at this one. So again, we framed this wall to have the cavity for the door. But we wanted this one to match the cherry plywood paneling on the walls. So I ended up just making this door. I glued 2 half-inch pieces of cherry plywood together, making it an inch thick. and made sure it was as flat as it could be when I kind of glued it up, and then used a cherry edge tape around all of the sides to try to kind of keep humidity out and keep it from swelling or warping. And then I just made these long pulls on either side, which we really like, and I feel like it's very integrated into the house. And so the second category is this concealed barn door. So I said earlier, if you don't have a cavity in the wall for a pocket door, and you can't kind of reframe that wall because of water lines or electric lines or whatever reason, in our case, it was because we're putting this little sink and cabinet outside of the actual bathroom here, and so there were plumbing lines in this wall that we couldn't mess with. And so you've probably seen regular barn doors, and I think those can look good, but what I found was that the hardware on those oftentimes was either really rustic looking or kind of industrial looking, and it was just kind of distracting. So in this concealed version, all of that is hidden. So the brand of hardware was the same as the pocket doors, and again, not paid by those guys. So you have to have some space on one side of the wall for the door to kind of slide into, but you don't go into the actual framing. So it can be kind of easier and less intrusive if this is a remodel. And then lastly, we made these really simple pivot closet doors. We had this kind of architectural recycled MDF product that we were kind of playing with and decided to use those for these doors. And they just have these little pivot hinges at the top and bottom. So there's no real stress on the actual door jamb themselves. It's just kind of gravity. Now, I probably would have made these a little more substantial, and I may do that at some point. But if you just want a simple door where the hinges are pretty concealed, you could do this and just use a nice veneer plywood or a paint grade plywood and paint it and make it yourselves. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. And if you found some door brands or styles that you love or some different ways of making them, I'd love to hear about them. And if you found this interesting, subscribe. And if you are starting a remodeling or a new build project, check out that design framework series or reach out if you want some more personalized help with your project. We'd love to hear about it.